Hey everyone, today I'll be talking about the Flood, and while we will most likely see them return in Halo Infinite, ultimately bringing elements of horror back to the Halo franchise. The Flood have always been terrifying, yet iconic to Halo, and I'm sure many Halo fans would love to see them return in Infinite. Bringing back the Flood for Halo Infinite would make a lot of sense in terms of canon, whilst paying respect to Halo's roots, which incorporates the Flood, creating that horror aspect seen in Halos 1, 2, and 3. Halo Infinite's story will be taking place on Zeta Halo, which is a Halo ring with a rich Flood background, and with 343 bringing back themes from Halo Combat Evolved, like mystery, wonder, and exploration, I can definitely see the Flood returning. Before I begin, if you are enjoying the content on the channel, please consider subscribing. It's free and it would really help me in growing this awesome community. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into why the deadly parasite known as the Flood should return in Halo Infinite. Installation 07, or more commonly known as Zeta Halo, has been teased throughout the two Halo Infinite trailers, and it should be expected that the majority, if not all the campaign, will be on the Halo ring. Zeta Halo is famous for housing the Flood, so I can only assume that the Master Chief will encounter them in some form during the story. Seriously, I'll be very surprised if we don't see the Flood at all during the campaign, especially after 343 brought them back for the Halo Wars 2 expansion called Awakening the Nightmare, when the Flood looks so menacing and, dare I say, amazing. Just imagine though how terrifying the Flood will look on the new Slip Space engine. Anyway, going back to my previous point, Installation 07 has a rich history with the Flood, where the ring's primary function was to conduct Flood research and containment. Installation 07 is considered by Oni to be the most mysterious Halo ring of them all, and it was the only ring to be 3 times the size of a normal Halo ring, so it's pretty safe to say that Zeta Halo is enormous and a perfect place to explore and discover mysteries in Halo Infinite. Imagine exploring a facility on Zeta Halo and stumbling upon the Flood. The instant dread and flashbacks would honestly be unreal, but it would make for a perfect reintroduction with the Flood, whilst paying homage to Halo CE. The mission 343 Guilty Spark still is, to this day, one of my favourite Halo missions simply because of its mysterious and ambiguous atmosphere that makes you immediately sense the threat of another enemy, one that even the Covenant were afraid of. I remember having friggin' nightmares of the Flood, and I know I wasn't alone on that, or at least I hope I wasn't alone on that. An enemy that can induce nightmares means that the creators, or more specifically Bungie here, did a great job of making them creepy and terrifying. Halo has lacked this type of horror in recent years, and going to a teen rating really won't help the franchise, or more specifically Halo Infinite. If the Flood do return in Infinite, the game has to be rated M at the very least. Otherwise, how can the all-consuming parasite known as the Flood even be made to appear deadly and horrifying? It simply just won't work. I know Halo Wars 2 did a great job of bringing back the Flood, although that game still had a teen rating, which meant that we didn't see any actual Flood transformation for when the infection forms took over the brutes. We really need to see lots more gore in Halo Infinite, and with the Flood hopefully returning, it means that there's a higher chance of the game being M-rated compared to teen. They for sure can still add the Flood and keep Infinite teen rated, although I just don't see the point in that, as that would really limit them on what they can show. Anyway, I'm interested to see what you guys think about that. The Prometheans from Halo 4 and 5 are an enemy that replaced the Flood in terms of being alongside the Covenant. Now, whilst the Prometheans have an interesting history, they really aren't fun to kill in the Halo games, and by the time you've played through Halo 5's campaign, you'd really start to get sick of them. The Flood, on the other hand, brought about another challenge in Halo Combat Evolved when first introduced. Sure, the mission in the library is an absolute clusterfuck of a mission, but even still, it retained elements of horror, where the mission was designed to give you this survive mentality. Unfortunately, I just don't see the Prometheans ever becoming a fun enemy to kill. And if you think that they are, don't let me change your opinion. I know many Halo fans want to see the Flood return as an enemy for Chief, and if it meant removing the Prometheans, I'd be all for it, as I can see the Banished being the Covenant replacement in Halo Infinite. So having the Banished and the Flood being enemies in Infinite would be incredible. Another thing to think about is that Halo Infinite will be a spiritual successor to Halo Combat Evolved, where themes like awe, mystery, hope, and exploration will all be visible in Halo Infinite's campaign. There's so much potential for the Flood being in Infinite, as there's plenty of mysteries surrounding the Flood held on Zeta Halo. In my opinion, there's no doubt that we will encounter the Flood during the campaign. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, especially when there's facilities around the Halo ring containing the Flood. For those of you confused as to why there's still Flood on the Halo ring, well, simply put, the Flood were preserved on the Halos, all of them in fact, in the hopes that they could be used to create a cure one day in case the Flood ever returned. What's also interesting is that Zeta Halo was home to the Palace of Pain, which was a place of unspeakable horror, where the Forerunners took humans and experimented on them. In actuality, the Palace of Pain was the Flood research facilities, where they experimented the effects of the Flood on humans. So you can imagine how horrifying that place would be. I really don't think we'll ever go inside one of these Flood research facilities, although it would be interesting and create a darker tone for Infinite if it did happen. Also, what's fascinating is that if you look close at the Halo Infinite box art, you can see a pillar above the clouds, one that many people have been speculating could be a Palace of Pain structure. I think it's more than likely that we'll see one of these on our journey around Zeta Halo, but I do wonder if we'll be able to see the horrors of the Palace of Pain for ourselves, although I'm not sure I'd want to. Regardless, that's something interesting I thought I'd share, seeing as those facilities are directly linked with the Flood. If the Flood are returning in Halo Infinite, I really don't want to see them in the campaign trailer in July, as that, in my opinion, would ruin their big reveal in the game. You might think I'm stupid for saying that, but Infinite will be about exploration and discovering mysteries on Zeta Halo. One of those mysteries should be the Flood, and just imagine the sheer terror you'd feel after randomly stumbling upon one of their facilities on the ring and having to shoot your way out to survive. Again, that's just my idea on how they should be introduced again. Either way, I strongly think they will be returning in Halo Infinite, and I know many Halo fans will be terrified but mainly pleased that an awesome enemy from the franchise has returned, hopefully at the same time bringing elements of horror back to Halo. Alrighty guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Let me know how excited you are for Halo Infinite, and if you too would love to see the Flood return. I really feel as though the Flood will be a perfect enemy to bring back for Infinite. Let's just hope Halo Infinite is amazing and takes our breath away. Anyway fam, thanks so much for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to support me that little bit extra. Thanks guys, have a good one.